Test one. Test two. Test three.
Let you get your music without. Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kate. I'm delighted to be one of your worship associates this evening. As many of you know, Reverend Eric is not going to be with us this evening as he, like many in our community, has COVID. But of course, he is here with us in spirit, and our thoughts go out to him and to all those who are suffering from this or other illnesses at this holiday time. So you may notice a few variations from the order of service, not in the order, but in who's going to be speaking at a given time. So here we go. We will, among us, create the mystery of the hour. We acknowledge that our FirstU campus is located on traditional, unsurrendered, and unceded Algonquin Anishinaabe territory, and that the work of reconciliation is a responsibility of our congregation and of all Canadians. Our goal is to educate ourselves and all those that have the willingness to understand, to be of service to those who are at risk, and to advocate for justice. This evening, each of us is welcome. We of any heritage or faith, whatever our burdens, of any culture or race, of any gender or orientation, in any body, all that we are. We are all a part of this spiritual community. With that said, let us begin our celebration by singing O Come All Ye Faithful in our great hymnal, and I believe the words will be up on the screen as well, maybe. Thank you very much, all our singers. In addition to saying Merry Christmas once again, I want to say thank you to everyone who's worked so hard to take part in this Christmas Eve service under somewhat difficult circumstances. Christmas choir, thank you very much for being here. Also to Julia, to Jen, Deirdre, to Mary, to Andrew, who's stepped forward for a reflection, Jody McIntosh and Susan, who carried the earlier family service today. 'Tis the season of all the seasons in the year when a special magic overtakes us, when all together we remember a birth and the bright promise of every birth, every new beginning. This is the season of all the seasons in the year when we remember the promise of a better world, which a young person named Jesus shared with us long ago, a young person who was once a tiny baby born in Bethlehem. Tonight, as we light our chalice, we honor the light inside that tiny baby, inside each one of us, and we honor the star that shone above the cradle, pointing the way to hope and love that lasts forever. Well, the love lasts forever, but if you blow in the wrong direction, the chalice doesn't. We will sing the songs of old and look into each other's faces, lit by candlelight, as if for the first time. Before we return to the story of old, of that faraway birth in Bethlehem, let's sing once more, Un flambeau, Jeannette, Isabelle, in both French and English.
Just French, actually.
Oh, just French? Oh, well.
Qu'ici j'apporte, toc, toc, ouvrons-nous la porte, toc, toc, faisons comme gala, doucement dans les tables glosses, doucement venez un moment, approchez que Jésus est charmant, comme il est doux, comme il est rose et doux. Do que l'enfant repose, do qu'il est non dormant.
Good evening. I'm Mary, your other worship associate this evening, and I'd like to read to you from Isaiah 9, verses 2 to 6. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shined. You have multiplied the nation, you have increased its joy. They rejoice before you as with joy at the harvest, as people exult when dividing plunder. For the yoke of their burden and the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor, you have broken as on the day of Midian. For all the boots of the tramping warriors and all the garments rolled in blood shall be burned as fuel for the fire. For a child has been born for us, a son given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders, and he is named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace.
I now have a reading from Luke chapter 2, verses 1 to 13. In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged, and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in bands of cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. In that region there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and singing. We'll now sing Angels We Have Heard on High. Please stand as you're able.
The second reading I'd like to do this evening is from Matthew 2, verses 1 to 11. Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of Herod, king of the Jews. About that time, some wise men from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem asking, "Where is the newborn king of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we have come to worship him." King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this, as was everyone in Jerusalem. Then Herod called for a private meeting with the wise men, and he learned from them the time when the star first appeared. Then he told them, "Go to Bethlehem and search carefully for the child. And when you find him, come back and tell me so that I can go and worship him too." After this interview, the wise men went their way, and the star they had seen in the east guided them to Bethlehem. It went ahead of them and stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasure chests and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Those were the gifts given the baby Jesus. Let us be generous with ourselves as well tonight. Join me now in a meditation for Christmas Eve by Elizabeth Stevens, followed by a moment of stillness. This is a safe place for the brokenhearted. Breathe with me. Joy doesn't bloom in the absence of sadness, but in the aftermath, when our tender hearts are touched by an act of kindness or a thing of beauty. Hope's light sparks in the midst of despair, like the bright stars in the night sky, like the candles we light, the flame we pass from hand to hand. Peace finds us when we turn inward in times of challenge and strife. We create peace when we confront injustice and heal the wounds of war. And love, oh love, always woven together with loss, love's inevitable price tag. Christmas doesn't come to banish our broken hearts. It blooms through the cracks. My brave beloveds, the great heart of the world beats in us. It has kept a steady tempo throughout history, and it will not let us down, no matter how bruised and battered our small hearts might be. We breathe together, our hearts beat together, and together we go on. With that promise in our hearts and with our chalice flame alight, let us enjoy a favorite song of the season.
Beloved
Thank you very much for that beauty, Jen and Deirdre. Now I welcome Andrew Drake, who will provide his reflection this evening for us in Reverend Eric's absence. Thanks, Andrew.
When I was tasked with coming up with a topic for reflection this evening, I decided to start by looking for inspiration from some of my favorite Christmas carols: The First Noel, Silent Night, Good King Wenceslas, Away in a Manger, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, and that last one was actually written by a Unitarian. One carol which is chock full of spiritual ideas is Hark the Herald Angels Sing. As you know, I'm sure, the first words from Hark the Herald Angels Sing. First of all, here's my angel. Inspirational angel, which won't stay standing up there, so I guess I'll put her here. So the first words from Hark the Herald Angels Sing are, Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King, peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. So what's my inspiration here? Should my talk be about God, sinners, mercy, peace on earth, the newborn King? Well, how about angels? So I decided to consult Mr. Google, and I wonder why people tend to say Mr. Google rather than Mrs. Google or Ms. Google. It sounds even better. Speaking of which, I haven't yet decided what my pronouns are, but I think my adverbs are definitely interestingly and surprisingly. But I digress. So I keyed the word angel into Ms. Google and pressed enter. Whoop, gee. Lo and behold, all sorts of geometry links showed up. Huh? I had inadvertently misspelled the word angel as angle. So just be thankful you're not getting a math lecture tonight. Trying a second time with more success, all sorts of angel-related things showed up. Angel wings, snow angels, angel food cake, Angelina Jolie, even the Rolling Stones song Angie. But I digress. The rest of my reflection is about my personal experience of angels. My grandparents were religious. My mother was raised Anglican, my father was raised Presbyterian, but my parents chose early in their marriage to convert and become decidedly non-religious. I think my parents, and my grandparents for that matter, would have found a happy home in a Unitarian congregation if only they had discovered UU. I recall a conversation my father had with my grandmother one time. They were talking about the afterlife, and my father said, "Mother, if you think that after you die you're going to be flopping around with wings on a cloud somewhere, go ahead. I just don't happen to believe that." My grandmother was most disappointed. Where had she gone wrong with her first and only child? My father's belief was that after we die, there is no conscious afterlife, but we do live on in the memory of all the people we've touched or who have touched us during our lives here on earth. In his mind, you only really die when there's no one left who still remembers you. But I digress. I'm not a believer in God per se, but I do believe in angels. My own belief is that my angels are the people who were important in my life who have now passed on to the other side. Most of my angels come from my biological family, but a few of them come from my logical family, that is the friends I've adopted over the years and the communities that I've chosen to make my own. I consider myself lucky to have met 7 of my ancestors. My great-grandmother, that's my mother's mother's mother, who lived to be 100, all 4 of my grandparents, and both my parents. My mother is still with us. My other ancestors have all passed on. But I feel them still here, angels all, guiding me, helping to clear obstacles from my path, keeping me on an even keel. When I think of my angels, I think about my brother Bruce, who died at 50 in his sleep of a heart attack. Bruce had a terrific sense of humor. One example, our mother was and is kind of new agey, believing in astrology, tarot cards, the I Ching, etc. So not surprisingly, during our teens, Bruce and I arrived home one evening to find the lights out and my mother, her best friend, and our sister Sharon conducting a seance. Bruce, donning his Wheel of Fortune hat for a second and looking down curiously at the Ouija board, said, "Psst, can I buy a vowel?" To which my mother scolded, "Shh." Bruce replied, "Mom, I'm sure ghosts have a sense of humor." To which my mother retorted, "They do not." Anyway, my brother's sense of humor and his dedication to doing things the right way are always with me, as they are also with his children, Alicia and Matthew, and I'm sure will be with his 1-year-old granddaughter, Morgan, who he regrettably never had the joy of meeting in this lifetime. When I think of my angels, I also think about my grandmother, Ruth, my father's mother, who I lived with and took care of for the last 4.5 years of her life. Come to think of it, she also took pretty good care of me. My grandmother once said to me, "Drew, there's just no planting an old head on young shoulders." I wholeheartedly agreed with her, thinking she must have meant young people. Surely not me at the ripe old age of 35. Now that I'm in my 60s, I think she may well have been referring to my 35-year-old self. I think of my grandmother often, and when an important question comes up, I ask myself, what would Gammy do? When I think of my angels, I think about my father, Robin, who passed away 1.5 years ago. I hope in the afterlife he is coming to a sense of joy and perhaps a greater understanding of me and what I'm all about. And I hope one day to gain a better understanding of him and what he was all about. When I think of my angels, I think about my grandfather, Harry, my mother's father, who taught me the importance of treating every person with respect, regardless of their station in life, and of making sure to have a purpose going into your retirement years. His purpose in retirement was researching the 400-year-old potash kettles forged by early settlers of Quebec. These are lessons I strive to live up to. When I think of my angels, I also think about my other grandmother, also named Ruth, my mother's mother. At family gatherings with 3 generations in the house, when something controversial came up in conversation, she would always stay above the fray, smile like Queen Elizabeth, and just say, "Lovely, lovely." This has been good advice for me, as my stepdaughter Shannon has blessed Mariella and me with 4 grandsons. So when we visit them, I'm reminded that I have to let others make their own decisions and their fair share of mistakes. I have certainly had that opportunity myself. I read a definition of the word tradition that I would like to share with you. A tradition is something you learned from your grandparents that you would like to pass on to your grandchildren. I like that. And that, my friends, is what angels mean to me. Thank you.
sweet hymns of joy. In grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Christ is the Lord. Oh, praise his name forever. His power and glory evermore proclaim. His power and glory evermore proclaim.
Thank you very much. How truly lovely. Tonight, as on every night, we rely on your generosity as much as ever. The ushers may now start to bring the baskets. Whenever and wherever you are watching this, you are invited to go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how you might keep up with your pledge or make a donation, or you can put it in the baskets that are passing along the pews. Tonight, we dedicate our offering to the congregation's Benevolence Fund. This fund helps those within our faith community, as well as other friends, meet needs they otherwise would not have been able to meet. Groceries for the holidays when food prices have soared. A trip to visit a close family member after a serious accident when the household budget would not stretch that far. Help with an unexpected vehicle repair, that sort of thing. Checks and e-transfers can be sent to and made out to FirstU with Benevolence Fund in the memo line. If you provide your mailing address, you'll be sent a tax receipt for any donation of $20 or more. Our gifts are freely given and gratefully received. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our community, serving human wholeness, caring for the planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. And now let us sing Joy to the World.
Stand up on your tippy toes, we'll be able to see you.
Most people, I think, in our society are familiar with the wise men, the kings, who came from afar, from the Orient, and lots of the parodies of that song that are out there. But those kings presumably had queens, and this is their story. The queens came late, but the queens were there, with gifts in their hands and crowns in their hair. They'd come, these three, like the kings, from far, following, yes, that guiding star. They'd left their ladies, linens, looms, their children playing in nursery rooms, and told their sitters, "Take charge, for this is a marvelous sight we must not miss." The queens came late, but not too late, to see the animals, small and great, feathered and furred, domestic and wild, gathered to gaze at a mother and child. And rather than frankincense and myrrh and gold for the babe, they brought for her who held him a homespun gown of blue and chicken soup with noodles too, and a lingering, lasting cradle song. The queens came late and stayed not long, for their thoughts already were straining far past manger and mother and guiding star, and a child aglow as the morning sun, towards home and children and chores undone.
Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Reverend Ellen, for that story that always warms my heart on Christmas Eve. In a moment, we will light our candles. Just a quick pointer, our Christmas elves will come down the aisles to light the first candle. I don't see any elves just yet. It's safer for all involved, the lit candle remains upright. So we'll pretend the chalice is a candle. If you want to light your candle, tip it towards the lit candle. Before bringing it upright before the person next to you lights their candle from yours. Try not to burn the chalice this time. There, now you know how to exit the airplane safely. A candle is but a single flame, yet where there is darkness, no light is small. Any light offers hope. We hope for the growing warmth of the sun to illuminate a clearer path for us in the days ahead. We hope for renewal and reunion with the oneness of all life. Now more than ever, we realize that our hope is attached to everyone else's hope. That may be the most profound meaning of this season. Our hope is attached to everyone else's hope. So now let your candle be lit by your neighbor, whether they be stranger or friend. Let us see one another by candlelight once again. When we share our light, our inner light, which like a flame can spread warmth among us, we help to brighten our world and spread the good news of peace, hope, and love. In the true spirit of Christmas, may each person here bring light to the world, and let us sing once more. I think Jen has intro for this singing, and we'll wait while some candles are lit.
Just a few words on how we're going to do this today. The choir has learned a counter melody that sounds very beautiful with Silent Night. So what's going to happen is the choir will sing the counter melody first for one verse. You'll see the text up there. After that, we will begin singing Silent Night. And if you're in the congregation, you are welcome to begin singing at that point, and you Your leader is Bob. Do you want to say hi? So Bob is going to be helping you to know when to come in. Will hear the choir at other points singing something else, but you will be singing with Bob on Silent Night. When you're looking at the slides, please look at the lower half, and that will have the the upper half, the higher half, which is bold and is in black. That is your part, congregation. It's also just the first verse of Silent Night, so if you know it, you might be good already. So, there we go. It's the opposite? Wait, it's the lower part? I am so sorry. It's the lower part. You know what? It's the part that says Silent Night. Thank you.
Cold are the people, winter of life, we tremble in shadows this
When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the brothers, to make music in the heart. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. I invite you to extinguish your candles and leave them at the back, and can walk out in peace, go in peace, and a very Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you for being here this evening. It was very wonderful.